thank you for joining us this evening today. Well, first, let me just remind you that we're recording this meeting and we'll post the meeting and the video onto our project website. This is our July 11th, 2024 meeting and for the filtration project. And my name is Benita Oswald. I coordinate the communications for the Bull Run Filtration Project. And on our agenda tonight, we have our Deputy Program Director, Michelle Cheek, is back again to deliver an overview of the project. Next, we'll get an update from Damian Skirbeck. He's on the pipeline team. He's a construction contractor with the pipeline team. And he's going to give an update on the pipeline work that's coming up. Then we have Facility Construction Manager Thomas Gilman is here with the facility construction contractor, John Kolkman, to talk about all the things that are happening within the site and along Carpenter Lane. And as always, we will leave some time at the end of the meeting for questions and comments. And if you have any questions or comments throughout the presentation, then you can always raise your hand or put those comments into the chat. So I will turn it over to Michelle for the update.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I think most of you are familiar with my update that I do at our overview that I do at the beginning, but if it's new to you, then great. But anyways, good evening and thanks for joining tonight. I'll kick us off with a brief overview of the project and then turn things over to our other speakers for more information on our upcoming construction activities. So this slide is an overview of the facility, and it's a view looking southwest from the main entry off of Carpenter Lane. So as you come into the site there through what looks like a roundabout that leads to our administration building off to the right there, and then to the left of the administration building is our maintenance building, and then back behind there is our chemical storage building, and then also our solids dewatering building. And then off to the right of that is what I consider are the heart of our facility, which is our flocculation and sedimentation basins, followed by our filters. And then from there, water heads into our clear well, which is buried underground there on the site. So next slide, Aubrey. So in addition to the facility itself, we will be constructing new water pipelines to convey water to and from our existing pipelines in the facility, and also a local distribution main to provide filtered water to existing customers in the area. This slide shows around the new pipelines to and from the facility. And the local distribution main, our raw water lines will be coming up from Southeast Lusted Road to the facility. And then our filtered water will be heading from the facility to town along Dodge Park, and then up to Lusted and along Altman. And then, as I mentioned, we've got a local distribution main there in Cottrell Road to feed some existing customers. And access to the filtration facility site during construction and the final constructed facility will be east off of Cottrell Road onto Carpenter Lane, entering the site from the north. And then there will also be an emergency access road to Bluff Road in Clackamas County to the south. So we have a wide variety of construction activities planned over the next few months, and our contractors are here tonight to talk about those in more detail. But at the facility site, we'll be starting mass excavation and the Carpenter Lane improvements. And following the Carpenter Lane improvements and mass excavation, we'll start hauling off some of those excavated materials. We'll also be preparing the site for temporary facilities that will be needed during construction. On the pipelines project, the contractor will be out verifying some site conditions and installing erosion control and starting other site preparation activities for the tunnel site. We'll also be starting work on the Fix It First road repairs, which are improvements to roads designated as haul or detour routes for construction traffic, and that must be improved prior to their use during construction. And we'll also be starting work to prepare for some of the pipeline work at Lusted and Altman. And along the way, we're committed to sharing information with our project neighbors and local businesses about upcoming construction activities. So with that, I will turn it over to Damien to share more about planned work on the pipelines portion of the project.
Okay, bear with me. Well, I'm not the savviest with Zoom, but I will, it looks like I got myself turned back on. The initial work, as Michelle said, will be erosion control activities. It'll go on down by the portal or the tunnel area down at Lower Lusted, and then we will start the relocation of the Pleasant Home water line, which currently is in Lusted and Altman Road. There'll be some road improvements or road widenings of Lusted before that work starts. And then the current plan is to start in Lusted and go from east to west, turn the corner into Altman. When we turn the corner, we plan on opening the Lusted Road up to two-way traffic. It'll be restricted to one-way traffic while we're putting the pipeline in. With flaggers and traffic control devices. And when we turn the corner and get onto Altman, Lusted will be opened up, and then Altman will be in that same kind of a traffic configuration with one-way traffic and flaggers during the daytime. And we expect that work to take about 3 months. Next slide. We will be notifying the property owners in the general area, and more specifically the ones along Altman and Lusted and then Altman, as we are prior to putting up our traffic control measures. These will be, as I mentioned earlier, one-way traffic during construction in Altman and in Lusted Road, and emergency access and local access will be maintained at all times during that during the installation of those pipelines. Next slide.
Damien, did you want to cover the Fix It First slide?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was right at the start. I'm sorry, I skipped past it. Let me go back.
Absolutely. Let's touch on that. Fix It First, which is the improvements in the shaded cross-hatched orange area there. We're going out to solicit contractors for that work right now. The Bureau has provided us the documentation that we need to go out and get bids on that work. And we're doing that in the next few weeks, and that work will happen prior to heavy pipeline installation. And that's a combination of milling in place and paving over the existing, and in some instances doing cement treated base. During that road improvements, those roadways will be restricted similar to the pipeline, the small pipeline installation, which will have one-way traffic periodically. It's really a function of what kind of road improvement is occurring at the time. But we expect to have that wrapped up before school starts.
All right, now we'll turn it over to John Folkman or actually Thomas Gilman will get us started on the recent facility progress.
Yeah, thanks. You can see a recent photo taken there on the right hand side of the screen. So this, I believe it was taken on July 3rd. So just about a week ago. That is what the site currently looks like. We are in the process right now of starting the mass excavation, including stripping the topsoil and stockpiling it over on the eastern side of the site. In the background there, you can see a stockpile with some kind of green on the side. That would be the stockpile right there where the materials being hauled to on the site. Here we have some things labeled. You can see the construction entrance. There is a wheel wash that has been installed to ensure we are not tracking information out onto the road. We're also running a street sweeper. If anything is tracked onto Carpenter right now, that is being swept up. We have established a lay down area just to the south of Carpenter Lane, which you see, right in the beginning or right in the forefront of that photo. We're using it for some equipment storage and some parking areas. We have put some engineered soils down to help manage the roadways, the temporary roadways on site, to make sure that they are suitable for the heavy equipment and the traffic, and to minimize the amount of dust that will be created. And then back in the back part of the site by the water tanks, there will be a temporary field office area. We have not established those yet, but those will be coming here in the pretty near future. We'll start establishing our field offices on site. What we've already done, we've already gotten the erosion control measures installed all the way around the perimeter of the site and around the stockpiles. We have site security. Site security fence is going in. It's up in the front, I believe, and it's continuing to make its way all the way around the site. So eventually it will all have security fence and be enclosed. And we have 24/7 guard shack out there and controlled entry into our site. I think that's the general overview of what is currently happening on site and the progress we've made. The upcoming activities, we're complete mobilizing in the major equipment for the mass excavation. So we're using the contractor's using scrapers. Those have been mobilized into the site now, so that major equipment has come in. That won't be the end of all the equipment that will be brought in for construction of the facility as the mass excavation completes and we start constructing actual facilities out there. There will be cranes that will be brought in and other major equipment as well. We are working right now on additional improvements on the site for the temporary roads and temporary utilities, including water and parking areas and the upcoming temporary field offices. We will be doing stormwater management on an ongoing basis throughout the duration of the project. So far, there have been some ponds constructed and excavated to maintain that water on site. And as we move through the summer and then winter approaches, more stormwater management efforts will begin to be installed as well. So of course, right now we're doing the site excavation and the grading to do the mass excavation and dig the holes necessary for us to build our filtration facility. John, did you want to talk about the Carpenter Lane improvements?
Yeah, I can give a quick update on that, Thomas. So yeah, just as part of the overall facility construction, excuse me, we have some improvements that are going to be made along Carpenter Lane, which is the access way to the job site. The activities that are pending relatively soon, potentially tomorrow and then through next week, the first couple of items. While the utilities down Carpenter Lane have been located with the locate companies, we also want to physically verify that those are in the places that we think they are. And so we'll be using a vac truck over the course of a few days just to verify at locations along the pipe lines, like for the water, for the gas, are the primary things that we'll be looking for. That will include just verifying some of the tee-offs that go to the individual houses along Carpenter Lane. In tandem with that work, next week, there'll also be the erosion sedimentation control measures, the ESC measures that will be installed along the road. And that will include some tree protection fencing. We'll initially next week have 2 crews. One will be working on the south side of Carpenter Lane, immediately to the north of where the laydown area that was on that previous photo. There'll be another crew that'll be working sort of in the middle of Carpenter Lane on the north side of the road, and that'll be the first activities that or first areas that we're working on for those erosion control measures and for the tree protection. You know, and all of this is being done with the intention of widening the road. It'll be widened eventually to the full, like a normal two-way roadway. We'll have to widen the gravel shoulders along each edge of the road. And part of that, and there's been some activity on this already that people would have seen, but PGE have been out, including PGE have been out to relocate poles or to put new poles in prior to removing the old poles, and those are sort of further to the north. And that'll take the overhead utilities, primarily the power, but also the Comcast and Ziply lines that go down there. One of the requirements that we have as part of the Carpenter Lane improvements is to create a pedestrian pathway on the north side of the road. And that is once again a requirement of the permit for the road improvements, and that will be one of the earlier activities that's going to be implemented. As I mentioned before, widening of the road to that full road width, and surfacing that road with new paving eventually. So that work will occur. As I said, the preliminary work will start next week. A lot of the shoulder widening, utility locates and reconnections would sort of occur within that next month, and then that work would progress from there.
So I want to mention real quick about the I think John referred to it as the tee off of the water line. So the services into the residents, in order to widen the road, some of the meters do need to be moved back from their current location. And so when that happens, the residents on Carpenter Lane, some of them will be affected. And so for a few hours, they will lose water. We're in the process right now of identifying those residents and sending out notifications of when that will happen, as well as for PGE power. When the old poles are removed and the power is transferred onto the new power, there are some residents that will lose power for a couple hours. PGE will be responsible and will be reaching out to those residents to notify them of what that outage looks like and when to expect that to occur.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit more detail on that, as you can see, this is the overview drawing that we have for the Carpenter Lane improvements. Primarily just this is a detail trying to show where that pedestrian access way is going to be built on the north side of the road. This is one section. If we go to the next slide, I think we have the continuation of that. You can see there what we have deemed the middle segment, and then on the eastern end towards the plant at the bottom there, that path going all the way down towards the construction site entrance.
All right, thank you, John and Thomas. So does anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts for anyone on the team about any of the information that was just shared? Raise your hand.
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I appreciate the updates, the details and the photos and everything else. So thank you.
And Bonita, my question is just, is there going to be, I don't know, I know that we have water trucks out here and all of this, but the amount of dust, like we still have cars going by, quite a few cars going down our road now, and our cars are covered in dust, our windows, our houses, my floors, since I have my windows open. So is there anything that is going to be done to help out residents that are trying to fight that off or deal with the huge amount of dust that's going?
John, do you want to address the dust, what you're doing about dust on site?
Yeah, as you had commented, we do have the water trucks that are at the moment filling up down at the corner of Cottrell and Carpenter. Those are being used to fill up with water to try and sort of minimize the dust that's potentially there on the road. We also have the street sweeper that's running down and tracking behind the water trucks when they come from the hydrant over to the project job site. Yeah, we're trying to look at alternative locations for getting water so we don't have quite that traffic from the water trucks. We are being mindful. We've got the track out requirements at the entrance to the site. But the constant sweeping and trying to be mindful of that is pretty much the extent. If we could get when we have the alternative source of water approved, then we can potentially sort of reduce some of that water truck traffic, but we're probably a little ways off just working with the county on that.
And on site, you have some tools available to you to keep that dust down.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the on-site stuff goes, we've got a lot of heavy equipment operating, and one of the reasons why we have to have the water trucks on Carpenter Lane is to go and fill those up to try and manage the dust. And so we've done various things for as I think Thomas indicated, the topsoil stripping that was done as the initial activity and has been stockpiled. The stockpile has been sprayed with hydro seed. It's being, rolled and managed to minimize any dust that's coming off that stockpile. As we are excavating, and we started some of the mass excavation yesterday, and that's been sort of ongoing today. As we get further down into the material, that material is inherently just wetter material, so it will produce less dust than we may have had from the topsoil and running over that. But overall, I was out at a job site this afternoon and thought that the dust control was being pretty well handled.
All right.
I think that the dust for us on the road is from the sheer amount of vehicles that go past. There are some that go slower, but for the most part, a lot of them go quite fast. We had a dump truck hauler going down today with both his hands on his cell phone, not even one hand on the wheel. And we have our speed limit at 25, which is way too fast. And, that's where our dust is coming from, is the amount. It's not coming from I'm not saying the movement of dirt, but our road is in such poor condition that as much as those water trucks go back and down and back and forth on our street, it drives so quickly, and there's so many cars on our street that it is just constant dust. I know that neighbors we're all hacking in the morning and coughing, and we just notice we get one day of rest on Sundays where we don't have to deal with it. The 4th of July weekend was fabulous because there was no constant dust, but all of that dust just blows right into our house. And I'm not willing to turn on my AC and run up my electricity bill just because I'm trying to protect my you know, self from dust. I shouldn't have to do that out here. So I think that's the main concern, is that the people driving, and now if everyone went slow and was respectful to the residents, then that would be fine. But that's not what they're doing. They're flying down the road and it stirs up a ton of dust. So that's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly we've been talking to all of the truck drivers and all of the workers on site. Like I said, I was there this afternoon and we observed, I waited around. I didn't see the trucks going back and forth, but as far as the workers leaving the site, we've advised all of the workers, or told the workers, that even though the posted speed limit is 25, we've told everyone that they are to do 15 miles an hour as their speed for access in and out of the site, and obviously on Carpenter Lane. Now, I observed 6 vehicles leaving today, and they were all at 15 or less on the speed reader. As you say, I wasn't there. I didn't observe any of the trucks going in and out. I know that the water trucks drivers, because they are consistent people that are on the site all the time, they are definitely under the same constraint or same instructions to drive slower than the posted speed limit. So they are definitely, as far as I'm aware, very much supposed to be driving at the 15 mile an hour speed limit, not the 25 mile an hour speed limit that's there. But we will certainly continue to reiterate that to the drivers and to the other dump truck drivers that are coming in and out the site as well.
Well, thank you, John. I really appreciate that. I will say that, and then I will stop talking after this, but the speed signs are flipped the wrong way. So when they are taking off from the job site, by the time they hit the first speed sign before you get to Tanner and Macy's house, you know, they're just starting. So of course they're not going to be going 25 because they're just starting. But by the time, and I just had a truck blow by here right now, but by the time, so when they're coming east on Carpenter Lane, they've just made that corner, and you would have to really gun it to have that traffic reader or radar reader read 25. But it's when they're coming from the job site, or once they pass that reader. So it's almost like those traffic radar readers need to be flipped. They're kind of going the wrong direction, because by the time they pass the one by Tanner and Macy's house and they get down closer where I'm at, they pick up quite a bit of speed. Not everyone, and we truly appreciate you guys trying to enforce the 15 miles an hour, and we really appreciate that. And I noticed that, but the traffic radar pieces aren't really working, because it's as they come onto the road or as they start leaving the site. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, we can have another look at the positioning of those, just to make sure we're optimizing those to keep people sort of honest here.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have
This is
any?
one more. This is Jan Edmondson. I live more on the west end of Carpenter Lane, and I was interested in that the ADA pedestrian path is that going to be all the way to the west end of Carpenter Lane, or is that going to be just on the east end?
You mean if you're on the west side of Cottrell?
We're on the west side of Cottrell.
Thomas or John, do you want to address that? I believe it's only on the west side or on the east side of Cottrell, but I just want to
looking at the map, it
looks
like it goes a little west.
So the pedestrian path ends at Cottrell. The intent of that pedestrian path, it's a permit condition, and because we're having that added traffic onto Carpenter Lane there, wanting to make sure the residents are safe, so we're adding that pedestrian path just in that section between Cottrell and the job site.
Okay.
We are not allowed to go down west of Cottrell on Carpenter Lane, so we cannot use that for truck traffic or as a detour. So, so that portion of Cottrell is just being maintained as is.
However, we have seen traffic down this end of Carpenter Lane from time to time. So, okay, that
Traffic from-
answers my question.
Are you saying there's traffic from the project?
Yes,
Come
especially
down?
when they unload some of the heavy equipment. You know, when after the equipment's been unloaded, a truck came down. I've only seen it once or twice, but also some of the egg traffic is being diverted onto our end of Carpenter Lane too. So, yeah.
Well, we'll definitely address any traffic from our project going down there. They should not be. I don't know, John, if the no construction traffic sign has been put out there yet, but that will be coming out soon to make sure that it is actually signed that you can't go down there. We will address that. Other residents in the area using that, we can't really stop them, but we will not have it as a designated detour route.
Yeah, I'd have to confirm if the no construction traffic sign is up, but as you said, Thomas, we as part of our orientation for people on the site, that is one of the items that's being raised with them, along with the speed limits. But the traffic west of Cottrell on Carpenter is one of those no-nos that we are emphasizing.
And Bonita, I just thought I'd jump in regarding the, you know, emphasizing with the contractor and also their workers on site that we do take all of your complaints seriously, and are talking with the contractor when those come in and working with them to identify any workers or drivers that might be breaking the rules and continue to reinforce those rules.
So if you do, I think, you know, if anybody out there, if you do see someone that you think is from the project that is coming down that west end of Carpenter Lane, or you see somebody that's distracted driving, things like that, please do try to get as much information as you can, and we can follow up with that and make sure that they have the appropriate guidelines that we are trying to enforce. And
Bonita?
yeah,
This is Mike Cowan.
sure.
Yeah, today, coming on the west end from Carpenter, truck was towing a very, very large yellow dump truck on the back. One was really huge ones. And they came up Cottrell. They must have gone around Altman, and they came up all the way on Carpenter and came across. And on top of the orange, very large dump truck were a number of tree branches that they obviously tore off as they were going down. So I just let you know about that. And when they pull up all these heavy equipment that you have there offloading, I never see any flaggers out there. And one day, the first day you had one of those earth movers, a school bus had to squeeze by them.
Yeah, there are never any flaggers for that. The only time they have flaggers is when PGE is out here. But other than that, there are no flaggers.
For unloading equipment that's coming onto Carpenter Lane, or
Yes, when they
coming
bring
around that corner.
yeah, when they bring the I think it was 8 earth movers they brought, they had to take them off the bed of the trucks and then maneuver them to try and get on the Carpenter Lane. There's no flaggers stopping traffic. I've seen traffic trying to get by while they're doing this. And you have those water trucks sitting there. They sit there till they're done, and sometimes they got to squeeze by them. And I've seen large trucks going by each other. I thought we're supposed to widen the road so we could have large trucks going by each other. I don't see that happening.
John, yeah.
Yeah. Well, certainly one of the, as I outlined earlier, one of the early activities is indeed widening Carpenter Lane. But as part of that, we have to be able to move the equipment in. And so you're right, there are indeed 8 of the large scraper earth moving machines that have been moved in addition to the dump trucks and some of the dozers and some of the other stuff. But the scrapers in particular, because of the length of them, they had to be offloaded at the intersection there at Cottrell and Carpenter, and then the scrapers were indeed driven down Carpenter Lane to get to the job site. That activity was all done via permit. So we had a permit from City of Gresham for moving the equipment and for unloading it. And that's why we did have a pilot vehicle. And in fact, I'm pretty sure, in fact, I think someone had some photos the other day, but I'm pretty sure we did have flaggers for that operation. Maybe not sort of on Carpenter just as they're doing the straight run down Carpenter, but there were flaggers down at the intersection of Dodge Park and Cottrell, and then I believe at Cottrell and Carpenter. I'd have to go back and talk to our superintendents, but I know that it was a permit requirement for moving those pieces of equipment in. And
Well, there aren't any flaggers up here at Carpenter. The flagger that is at Cottrell and Dodge is someone in their car blocking the road, basically. And then like when I had come around the corner, they were on their phone and didn't even notice I was coming around the corner. But when those big earth moving machines are coming in, you can't see around them. So when we were leaving to go to Sandy, you know, we're coming out and we're taking a left off of Carpenter. Well, we had to make a blind corner because everything was blocked. We couldn't see anything. And so we just had to pull out and hope that we weren't going to get T-boned because there was no one out there directing traffic.
And that's, Chrissy, that's at the intersection of Carpenter and Cottrell turning left.
Carpenter and
Carpenter.
Cottrell. Yeah. So, and I think what Mike's saying is that it's just unfortunate that we were told that, oh, we're going to make these road improvements because we're going to bring all this traffic down your street, but we're going to get that road improved. And all of this traffic is coming down our street and the road isn't improved. I mean, they're kind of putting lipstick on a pig out here with the straw and the patchwork, which makes more dust. But that's the issue, is that there's so much traffic and we aren't used to that. That's why we live on a dead end road, is because we know the cars. And one piece that I had mentioned to Bonita is that there are cars, not only are there workers and everyone else going up and down our road, but then there are a lot of people who just come down and want to check out what's going on. And so when people fly down the road, I don't know, like today I ran out a couple times to try to catch who was flying down there, but it's like, then I'm like, oh my gosh, am I like the Carpenter Lane police right now? You know, I don't want to live my summer like that. And sometimes they just go down and they turn around and they come back. You know, I feel horrible for my host at the end of the street because he's probably got tons of people turning around in his driveway. But, you know, so it's hard to, you know, yes, if I would have had my phone on me or had something to write down the dump truck, you know, or license plate or catch a picture, I could have. But to be honest, that doesn't feel good that I would have to do that. You know, I wish that people would just understand the tremendous, horrific impact this is having on the people who live on this road. You know, we're trying to be kind and everything and wave, and you know, the water guys are great. You know, I say good morning to them every morning, and I'm trying, you know, to do my best with that because I know these people are just working and making $1, but at the same time, it's a lot, and it's depressing is what it is. So some of the things that were said were going to be done aren't being done. You know, there's a picture of someone with a babe pushing a baby stroller, and then the bike. There was a little girl on her bike, and they're like right in the mix of these earth movers being loaded off of these trucks and put onto our road. You know, and I finally went out there and told them, you guys have got to get back. You can't be right up here with this. But there's no directing of traffic at our Carpenter Lane and Cottrell intersection, unless it's PG.
I think that's something we can definitely look more into. Maybe John and some of our leadership can talk about what we can do better there.
Yep, we can certainly talk about some additional measures that we would potentially take. As I said, I thought we had been compliant with the permit as far as moving the heavy equipment in. It is, yeah, it's a little bit of a catch-22 because some of that large equipment is a little bit of a draw card for people to come and have a look, and so a little bit or other people coming down the street to have a look at the activities that are going on. But we can certainly talk a little bit more internally just as to how we, if for the additional equipment that still has to come in, making sure that we go above and beyond for the traffic control and for, you know, notifications, etc.
Right. Just to back up a little bit, because I don't want to ignore anything that's in the chat, but with the dust comments earlier, some of the property owners that are on the east side said they had also been experiencing some dust as well. Any other questions or comments? Raise your hand. You can just turn off your mute. You can type in the chat. Okay, well then, we'll move to the next slide here, and this one, we have changed our email providers recently. So we used to use MailChimp, now we're using GovDev. And so just make sure that, just a reminder, we've been sending it out over the last year or so. We were planning to make this change and to keep your preferences updated. So if you've updated those, they were transferred over. But if you have not updated those, you may need to do that now. So you can do that by going to portland.gov/VRTP news, and then you can update your preferences. Just also, it will be coming from a different email address. Before it was coming from the Bull Run Projects email, so you'll want to change that to be and make sure you're in your safe list for your contacts is water@info.portland.gov. And go to the next slide. And so we also now are offering text messaging for traffic updates. If you have signed up for that, then you probably got one last Friday. But this is specifically for traffic information. So if you want to have that happen, then just go to this portland.gov/water/filtration TXTS. And you can sign up for the future text or for future text alerts. I will note that these two items are not related. So it is two separate signups. I don't know why they don't make it the same, but that's the position that we're in. So if you're interested in doing that, please do. And then for other project information, we have the construction hotline that's listed there. You can send emails to the Bull Run Projects, portland.gov. As always, that's the best email to send to. I know a lot of you have my personal email, but and that works fine too, but I do like to take a vacation occasionally. So there are multiple people that monitor this Bull Run Projects email address. And then, of course, we have construction information on our website. We are looking to do a coffee chat. That's an in-person meeting in August. We're still working out the details of that. So just stay tuned. We'll be sending out information through our e-news about that coffee chat coming up. Make sure you're signed up for the neighbor option. And then we also have our next Zoom meeting like this one in October. So I think that is all that we have. Yep. So if there's any final questions or comments, give you a minute to think of those. Keep an eye out. All right. Well, we will see you maybe at the coffee chat or in October. Thanks for coming by.